Hey, it's Jordan Glaser here from the JP Homes team with ReMax. I'm here with my good friend Eric Iankelevic from Sherwood Mortgage Group and King Capital to talk today a little bit about what we saw throughout 2019 from the mortgage world and from a mortgage point of view. And we'll also touch on a little bit of what we can expect or think we'll see as we get into 2020 and through next year. So let's jump right in. Eric, how are you?
Great, thanks. How are you? Thanks
Awesome.
for having
Good.
me today.
Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
Always look forward to getting your point of view and opinion on things like this. So to jump right in and just go, get to it. From a mortgage point of view and from the mortgage business, how did 2019 turn out? What did you see throughout 2019 as kind of trends happening?
Well, there's a couple of things that really defined 2019. It really gave us a full year of the new income stress test that was implemented by the government back in January 2018.
Yeah.
So it really gave us an opportunity to see what that impact would actually be on mortgages and borrowers and mortgage qualifications.
Right.
So really what we saw, in my opinion, was a stabilization of the market.
Great.
After there's been a lot of hysteria leading up to 2018 with mortgages and values, what we saw was it was more of a stable mortgage market.
Okay.
New reality kicked in for a year, and it allowed borrowers to adjust to the new reality. So we all understood what the expectations were from lenders. So that was really, really important. The other key thing was the federal election had a bit of an impact as well.
Okay.
The government announced a new shared equity program where the government was prepared to contribute a portion of your down payment. And that was a really nice announcement that came out of the election. And since the Liberals won the election, it's likely that program will continue to be promoted and used by Canadians.
And have you, just to ask quickly, have you seen a lot of your clients taking part in that program, or is it something that you think will gain in popularity as we move forward and people get used to it?
Great question. Well, as most of you know, I'm located here in the GTA.
Yeah.
And there is a cap on the program in terms of being able to qualify for properties under $520,000, I believe.
Okay.
So as such, there's really not much you can buy in the GTA for $520,000. So up until the program started November 1st for implementation. Right. So I personally haven't seen any borrowers participating in that program, but some of my colleagues have. Right. And it's been really, really useful to participate in the shared program where they're able to get some additional equity to put down on a down payment, which subsequently reduces the monthly cost of borrowing for the borrower.
So even for someone who might be in the city and looking outside of the city as an option to get into the market, someone like that could really take advantage of this program to even further alleviate the high cost of getting into the real estate market.
Right. And, you pay it back once the property's sold or 25 years, whichever happens.
The government basically becomes a partner with you in purchasing the property. So as a standpoint where we are, it's the middle of December right now. Everyone's getting ready for the holidays. Where do you see, the market from a mortgage point of view in terms of where we stand today versus where we stood at this point last year in 2018?
I think the confidence of borrowers is higher.
Okay.
I think that when they implement the stress test in 2018, that really defined 2018. And 2019 was really a year where we learned how to work within those new parameters, within the new rules that were established for mortgage borrowing.
Okay.
The other thing we've seen as well is there's been a real increase in alternate mortgage lending solutions.
Interesting.
So companies like King Capital Mortgage Investment Corporation provide a funding where there's a vacuum created. A vacuum in the sense that the banks are no longer comfortable or lending under these parameters. For example, foreign buyers that may have pre-purchased a condo the past couple of years may no longer qualify because of the rule changes that were implemented in January 2018. Right. So as such, we've established alternate mortgage solutions to be able to cater to that environment.
Okay. So the alternate mortgage business or industry, I guess, has kind of evolved out of some of the tightening and changes in lending rules from, the major banks.
Correct.
Okay, interesting. So that's a good trend to note for people. If someone's looking for something like that, you can't get typical funding from a bank. it's good to look for that alternate lending, and seems to be a great option for that.
Yeah, especially for self-employed individuals or
Right.
foreign buyers or individuals that need short-term financing or short-term solutions.
Okay.
It is a really strong alternative to traditional mortgages.
Awesome. Good to know that there's other options out there for some people. And now, as we're getting ready and we're jumping into 2020, what do you see for 2020? Do you think the stability, which I think is important to note, and we've seen that even from my point of view throughout prices and sales and everything, we've seen a lot more stability and a lot more confidence from both sides. What do you expect to see as we get into 2020 into the new year?
So I support your prediction for 2020. I think it'll be a much more stable market, real estate wise, and also for mortgage lending. I think there's going to be a couple of drivers though that are going to continue to keep the mortgage lending robust.
Okay.
Toronto, I think, attracts 150 to 200,000 new immigrants per year.
Yeah.
Right. So that'll continue to increase demand for real estate.
Yep.
The second thing as well is that from a supply perspective, I've observed that as a result of the rule changes, that traditional borrowers that might have wanted to upsize or upgrade or move have actually held off on that.
Right, okay.
And that's created a bit of a supply issue, which is, again, will result in appreciation of values in the GTA.
Yeah.
And the government shared program, there are rumors that the government will increase the threshold for participation. The rumors are that it's currently at 520,000. If they increase it to 750, that could open up the GTA.
Sure. Well, then you get into condos into that range where it'll make it more possible to get.
So by opening it up more to the GTA, we could see the impact of increased prices.
Sure.
The other thing too that I find interesting is interest rates. Most individuals' variable rate mortgages are directly connected to the Bank of Canada rate. There are suggestions that the Bank of Canada will be decreasing the interest rate.
Right.
November had a bit of a rough employment numbers.
Okay.
So if the rates are decreased, that could create a further demand for mortgage financing, which would also have an impact on borrowers and borrower solutions and reduce the cost of borrowing, which could entice
more buyers to get out.
More demand, which could push up prices.
Yeah.
We can't ignore the U.S. and a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. 2020 is an election year.
Yeah.
And as such, there's always a wild card, and in the U.S. And I'm not going to get into U.S. politics.
We'll see where that goes.
But that could also drive more demand towards Canada and Canadian housing. And issues with China also, and the U.S. and trade issues. Toronto could continue to be perceived as a safe haven.
Yeah.
And as more immigrants come in and issues in the U.S. evolve for 2020, we could see a coupling of the values and demand for mortgage financing.
Right. So Eric raises a bunch of great points there on, kind of contributing factors. So I think we're in agreement with kind of what we see for 2020 is, supply has been at a relatively low rate for a long time in the GTA and in Toronto. We'll continue to kind of see lower inventory rates, increasing demand. If rates are going to go down, I think that only continues to increase the confidence in buyers and gets more buyers off the shelf and jumping back into the market. And with the continued immigration and growth in the Canadian population and most people coming to Toronto or Vancouver, which are the two main hubs, continued demand in the area will give an upwards pressure on price. So I agree with you for sure.
The other observance that I've had is for 2019, which will translate into 2020, is also the demand for rental properties. We've seen a record amount of individuals coming forth purchasing duplexes and triplexes in the GTA. And again, that's just also a consequence of more immigration coming in and more demand for housing.
Yeah.
So that's really created an opportunity for individuals looking to purchase rentals.
Right. So again, as we're heading to 2020, any tips you can offer if there's a buyer who's kind of sitting on the fence saying, should I jump in now or should I wait?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. Always consult a real estate professional and a mortgage professional.
Yep. Fair enough.
There's a lot of information online.
Absolutely.
And Google doesn't always have the answers to everything. And there's nothing like being able to work with a professional to be able to give you the proper guidance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the information out there online can be misconstrued. There's no better way of getting to the bottom of what your affordability is, or what properties you're looking for in what area, and what the cost is going to be without contacting or discussing it with a real estate professional and a mortgage professional. The other thing is also get your finances in order. Personal credit is really, really more important today than ever before.
Okay.
So it doesn't hurt. There's a lot of services that allow you to check your credit. There's some free services. If you bank with Scotia, they might have a free. So it's not bad to be able to frequently check your credit.
Right.
Check it yourself, and monitor it just to see, the balances are where you stand, and get ready. But that's something that a mortgage professional and a real estate professional can help you do, is get ready, so that when you're ready to make that purchase, that you're able to make that purchase and that you're in a good position to do it.
Yeah.
But most of all, like you said, we do believe that the prices will continue to appreciate.
Yes.
Specifically in the GTA.
Yeah.
So the sooner that you're able to get into the market, it's always beneficial.
Yeah.
And I think real estate went up approximately 7% in the GTA, on track for something like that.
Roughly that, and I think ReMax just brought out their predictions for 2020, and their initial predictions at this point are about a 6% increase for 2020 as well. So
6% may not sound like a big number, but when you're doing 6% on $1 million,
the numbers get there.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah.
So 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, before you know it, that's 18%.
Right.
And that's a pretty significant, appreciation over time. So it's really important to have a mortgage professional and a real estate professional assist you with navigating that landscape.
Yeah. So I think the biggest key factor there is be prepared, get your finances in order, know what your affordability is, know what you can do, and then get out and get into the market and really see what you can find.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much. I appreciate your
My pleasure.
Your expertise
Thanks
on
for
it,
having me.
and I wish you the best in the holidays
Thank you.
and an amazing year through 2020.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon.